Here's a really lovely salad showing off tuna and roasted tomatoes. Not just that, I'm also going to be adding some buffalo mozzarella. Just a match made in heaven. Now, I've already given myself a head start with the tomatoes. What I'm doing is just cutting them in half, and a chef friend of mine did yell at me one day because I was cutting the tomatoes wrong when I was roasting them. What you want to do is cut them horizontally, just like this. By doing that, you get a prettier presentation. So we'll place them onto the paper. And I'm flavouring this with some rosemary. Lots of herbs in this dish. I think lately I've been successfully growing my herbs in my garden, so I'm using them a lot in my recipes. And I'm just going to scrunch that up and finely chop our rosemary. So run your knife through it a few times because we want a deep rosemary flavour on our tomatoes. Good. Extra virgin olive oil, a good drizzle of that over our tomato halves. Pinch of salt. Tomatoes need lots of salt, so we bring out their flavour. And our finely chopped rosemary, we'll sprinkle that over the top. Looks good. Just a little pepper too. I want to roast these at a really low temperature. The reason I do that is because I don't want them to turn into mush. We want them to hold their integrity. So the temperature is at 140 degrees. So we're going to cook them nice and slow for about 40 minutes. While they're cooking, we can prepare the other ingredients in this. I have a pot of water that's been rapidly boiling. We need to season that with a good pinch of salt. And I'll add the pearl barley. I love pearl barley. It's got that really nutty flavour to it. So in it goes. A little stir. And it'll come back to the boil in a moment. For a dressing, a very classic dressing, I do this dressing quite a lot, but it just works nicely with the tuna and the tomatoes. So Dijon mustard, a big tablespoon of Dijon mustard. For some piquancy, we need some acidity, so I'll add some vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar for this. Seasoning, salt and pepper. And to emulsify this, extra virgin olive oil. And I like to whisk and slowly drizzle in the oil as I go, and it will start to thicken. It's probably the most basic dressing you could have in your repertoire, but you'll use it so often because it's that good. So forget about buying those pre-made ones. Okay. See how it's starting to thicken up and all of that oil is mixing in and it's becoming quite glossy? That's good. Let's have a taste. That is fantastic. We'll pop that to the side. In another bowl, I'll add my tuna. I'm using some tuna in spring water. I've drained it. I'll take a spoon and just break up our tuna. So 2 cans for this. And all the herbs that I did mention. I have a lot of herbs here. Parsley, chives and basil. So we'll start with the parsley. Just running my knife through the parsley. I almost want to use the parsley as a salad leaf, if you like. So really rough, that can go in. The basil, we'll take the basil off the stalks. If you want that intense basil flavour, you need to tear it in your hands. So we'll gather all the leaves up and we'll tear that into the bowl. It smells like summer every time I tear basil. Love it. Okay. For the chives, I'm going to cut them into small battens. This is going to give our dish a mild onion flavour. So we want about a handful of those chives. For some saltiness, some olives, good old green olives. I'll cut them into quarters. And I've taken the pit out of them. In they go. And we're almost there. We just have to wait for the pearl barley to finish cooking, our tomatoes to finish cooking, cool down slightly, and then just a few more things and this dish is ready. Look how good these tomatoes look. See how they're still holding their shape? They're bright red and they've cooled down to room temperature. So we're going to carefully just slide them off the tray into our bowl. Just try not to break them up too much. They've almost semi-dried, if you like, because we did have them at that low temperature. There's a few that got away, so we'll get them into the bowl. Pearl barley is cooked, it's al dente, and that's how I like to serve it. We've cooled that down, and I'm going to add majority of this. And for the cheese, you want a really mild cheese for this, and that's why I like to use buffalo mozzarella. Use a good quality buffalo mozzarella for this. We'll take that out of the water. And this is my favourite part, just breaking in to that buffalo mozzarella. Look at all those curds in there. Yum-o. So we'll just pull that apart into smaller chunks. This is where you need to control yourself and not try to have a nibble. Wait until it's all done. And there's this rule that people say to not have cheese with fish, but because this is such a mild cheese, the tuna and the buffalo mozzarella actually do go well together. So I'm adding it to my salad. For some crunch, some pistachios, I'll run my knife through them a few times. Really want to expose the green colour inside the pistachio. And I'm going to add about 3/4 of the nuts now and reserve a small amount to sprinkle on the top. For the dressing, we'll drizzle this over the salad. Scrape down the sides. And let's give it a toss. With a salad like this, it's quite delicate. You don't want to be tossing with tongs. A fork and a spoon is much better. Colours of the Italian flag right there. Smells good. Let's plate this up. Big spoon. And I'm going to serve enough for two to share. See how the herbs almost dominate in here, and that's how I like it. It smells so good. I can smell each individual herb. Don't forget to add the buffalo mozzarella on the top. And because we flaked that tuna, it's just evenly distributed throughout that whole dish. Nice. Last little sprinkle of pistachio to tie it all together. I can't help myself. Extra virgin olive oil. And voila, what an elegant salad. A combination of buffalo mozzarella, slow roasted tomatoes, and a generous amount of tuna.